This season we dared to conquer the routes of the Great Silk Road, took the trip through 3 countries. It was not easy, but we did it and we are proud of ourselves. And if you decide to repeat such an experiment, then here are the tips from the travel blogger Saken Kagarov. So, what do you need to take with you on such a trip? Take some comfortable clothes with you. First of all, because it was rather cool in Kyrgyzstan, we were mostly in the mountains. And in Uzbekistan, it was on the contrary too hot. I can advise a good mood, make sure to take photo and video equipment with you. If you want to travel and take both photos and videos of places you visit, because the beauty you will see is indescribable. Listen to Saken and do not repeat our mistakes. Now let us remind you about the last episode. Oh yes, we were in the city of Tashkent. The Hazrat Imam ensemble and the Kukeldash madrasa were the first architectural impressions of Uzbekistan. Today we will get to know Samarkand, the apotheosis of the architectural thought of Central Asia. Let's start. The main square in the cities of the Middle East has long been called Registan. Samarkand Square is the most famous Registan thanks to the famous architectural ensemble of 3 madrassas located on it. San Marco in Venice, Red Square in Moscow, Times Square in New York. Everyone knows these locations and wants to get there. And we are now at a similar location in Samarkand, the Registan Square. And according to the script, there should be a cool Uzbek music here. The name of the square, Registan, is translated as a place covered with sand, and this is no accident. There is a legend that between the 15th century and the beginning of the 20th century, public executions took place on this square. To make sure that the blood was absorbed and not noticeable on the ground, the square was covered with sand. There were souvenir shops, caravanserais and indoor shopping markets on the square. An ensemble of 3 magnificent medieval universities did not appear immediately. Ulugh-Bek Madrasa was built first at the beginning of the 15th century, and 2 centuries later, 2 more beautiful buildings appeared here, the Shador and Tila Kari Madrasas.
Роль в возникновении вот этого ансамбля уже принадлежит
And it wasn't for Ulugh-Bek or Timurids' efforts that this building has appeared. But as strange as it might seem, it appears thanks to a Kazakh man. This was Zhalantos Batyr, one of the prominent leaders of the Alim family, who was also in the service of the Timurids, and at one time he became the ruler of Samarkand. And during his reign, he was able to carry out this wonderful architectural construction.
Он как раз и вот эту вот замечательную архитектурно-строительную операцию провел.
Zhalantos Batyr was born in the territory of modern Kizilorda region. Fearing drought and attacks of enemies, the owl of his father Said Kul migrated to the mountains of Nurata near Bukhara. There, Zhalantos, or Yalaktush Bakadur, grew up and became a warrior and a talented manager. In 1612, the Imam Kuli Khan appointed Batyr as a ruler of Samarkand. Zhalantos was in this position for 40 years until his death. The famous commander was sent rich gifts and offerings from India and Khwarezm, the Kyrgyz, Kalmyk, Kazakh, Kashgar Khanates, and even from Tibet. These funds were used to build palaces and madrasas in Samarkand. The Uzbeks respectfully called Zhalantos our caring Bakadur. Now Registan is one of the most striking examples of Islamic architecture. In 2001, the ensemble, along with other ancient historical buildings of Samarkand, was included in the UNESCO World Heritage List. What else lures tourists to Registan Square?
In
Uzbekistan, in Samarkand, the Shak Taronalari festival takes place once every 2 years. And it so happened by chance that we were able to see it. I believe that this is a great opportunity to plunge into the culture and the beauty of Uzbek music. I'm not very good at it, but I will try. Today we have witnessed the construction of a huge open-air stage. The Shak Taralanari, or Melodies of the East Festival, has been held on Registan Square since 1997. Every 2 years, creative groups from all over Asia come to participate in it. What is the essence of the festival? Most musicians present their traditional folk music here. Songs of different languages are heard from the stage. Artists demonstrate a colorful show. Ethnic dancers in national costumes. The reach increases every year. If in 1997 the festival was attended by participants from 31 countries, then in 2019 already 75 countries sent their representatives here. This year the festival is held for the 20th time and 340 singers, dancers and musicians participate in it. Spectators deserve special attention. It turned out that we visited the national festival in Samarkand, and what surprised me the most, that local people wore their best beautiful outfits, as if they were going to a ball. In fact, they just came to watch the festival, and we could see the community as it is. The organizers were lucky. There was no need to build any decorations. The monuments of medieval architecture framed the stage and created amazing acoustics. The night illumination on the buildings complemented the magical picture and turned the Registan into a unique place that will remain in the tourist's memory for a long time. If you look from the road to the ensemble, the Ulugbek madrasa will be on your left. This madrasa is so huge that Samarkand residents have a saying that because of the bulkiness of the madrasa, the back of the earth comes to a shudder. It seems to us that it is not inferior in magnitude to its creator. Do not try to ask Uzbek people who Ulugbek is, because you may be considered illiterate and generally people will get offended. I found out everything especially for you. In general, Ulugbek was a poet, an astronomer, built a lot of things, was generally a great ruler, and this madrasa, by the way, is his creation. In fact, Ulugbek did not devote so much time to state affairs. His passion was astronomy. Ulugbek created a catalogue of the starry sky with a description of 1,018 stars. All European astronomers used his table, and the observatory built by Ulugbek had a unique tool, a wall quadrant with the radius of 40 meters and the working area of 20 to 80 degrees, which at that time had no analogues in the world.
И задаешься вопросом, когда заходишь в его музей.
And you wonder when you go to his museum. You see this device, do not ask what it's called, I need to look it up, with the help of which he studied the sky and the stars. And he made a map of this starry sky, not having, like we do have today, accurate instruments. But the difference is then quite small. He was so sharp and keen on astronomy. But not everyone among Tamil Lane grandsons, friends and colleagues liked his passion for science. His relationship with Muslim leaders was quite complicated. They were not very enthusiastic about his hobbies and his interests in things far from the search for truth, as it seemed to them. The search for truth seemed to them in reasoning and in prayer. Well, in order to somehow reassure them, he built a madrasa for them. Ulugbek Madrasa was one of the most prestigious universities of the Muslim East. In a medieval university, lectures were given not only in theology, but also in mathematics, geometry, logic and natural sciences. Ulugbek himself taught at the madrasa along with such stellar medieval scholars as Qazi Zadeh Ar-Rumi and Al-Kashi. It is said that the poets Abdurrahman Jami and Dalisher Naboyi studied here. The construction of the madrasa did not save the ruler of Samarkand. Ulugh could observe the most distant stars in the sky but failed to recognize the danger nearby. In 1449, the great astronomer and poet was killed on the orders of his own son. But a building with a terrific history was left after him. It is not surprising that the graceful proportions of this particular structure formed the basis of the madrasa, later called Shador. Shador is located directly opposite the Ulugh madrasa. When we were about to take a video of it, the wind came out of nowhere and we had to hide in a cozy courtyard. We are in the courtyard of the Shador madrasa. It is somewhat similar to the Ulugh madrasa, but the scale is slightly different. The fact is that initially they wanted to build a huge dome here, which after some time simply fell apart. As grandfather Lenin used to say, better fewer, but better. The madrasa was built on the site of Ulugh Dervish Lodge and partially using building materials of the dismantled building. The front side of the Shador madrasa was supposed to mirror the facade of the Ulugh madrasa, but the architect made a mistake by not taking into account the level of the Registan Square, which had risen by 2 meters over 200 years. As a result of this, Shador turned out to be lower compared to the original madrasa. But the construction differs from the Ulugh madrasa by the image on the tympanum on its front portal. The plot of the mosaic is as follows. Tigers prey on gazelles, and above it there is the sun with a human face. Some myth is definitely implicated here.
На этой территории львов-то, конечно, не водилось, но водились тигры, И
Of course, there were no lions on that territory, but tigers were found.
Такая ближневосточная, была сюда принесена.
Leo is a Middle Eastern tradition, a certain contamination.
Совмещение
A combination of sacred concepts were brought here. As a result, a tiger lion was made. And this sun with a human face is nothing more than Alip Arizbi, aka Afrasiab. In fact, this is all a cult of Afrasiab, Arizbi, or in ancient Greek, the god of war Ares.
Культ Афросиаба. Арес Бия. Или по-древнегречески бога войны Ареса.
What a twist! According to the legend, Afrasiab was a Saka ruler, and after his death he became a cult figure. Under the name Frankrasian, he is represented as the most hated villain of the Iranian epic. Many Turkic dynasties, such as the Seljuks or the Karakhanids, built their family trees from Alip Arizbi. Ahmet, Baitusinov and members of the Alash horde called themselves Aristar. And how did Afrasiab get to the Greeks, you ask? Very simply, Afrasiab reached Europe through mercenary warriors, gradually turning into the god of war Ares, known to everyone from the ancient Greek myth. History is such a funny thing. Now let's go back to the Registan. The ensemble is completed by the third educational institution, Tilakari Madrasa. Behind me there is Tilakari Madrasa. They say there is a lot of gold inside. Here it does not look somehow tasteless and too much. On the contrary, it's very beautiful. When we entered the madrasa, we really saw a large amount of gilding. Surely there is an explanation why such an abundance of brilliant details was necessary.
Для серьезных таких развитых, так сказать,
For serious, developed eras, which are accompanied by good taste and wonderful, thoughtful buildings, this flickering and gilding are not typical.
и замечательными такими продуманными постройками.
But as the morals of both the rulers themselves and the entire population decline,
И вот по мере, так сказать,
and as tastes deteriorate, This aspiration for flickering and gilding appears accordingly.
И по мере, так сказать, ухудшения вкусов, соответственно, появляется вот эта вот стремление.
At the time of construction of the madrasa in Samarkand, 2 cathedral mosques were destroyed, and therefore the ruler of Samarkand decided to build a mosque and a religious school under one roof. Now the building is open to tourists. There is an exhibition that shows the stages of reconstruction of Registan Square as well as numerous souvenir shops. We walked inside and here we are again at Registan Square. We admire the decoration of glazed bricks, mosaics and ceramic majolica. I look at it and think, I haven't taken cool pictures for a long time. You as well do not forget to take photos in cool places, post it with the hashtag across Central Asia and receive cool prizes. Samarkand, along with Khiva and Bukhara, is a city museum of medieval architecture. In general, the traditions of architecture in Uzbekistan are long-standing and the masters of each city have developed their own recognizable styles. Aziza noticed something too. Just look at it. I think that you have already noticed that blue, dark blue and white shades are often used in the facades of buildings in Samarkand. That's very beautiful. And you know what is the reason for this? I personally do not know. They just told me to tell you about it and did not write what it means. So you Google it, okay? Let us save your time. Blue, white and dark blue are the signature colors of Samarkand masters. It is believed that if you see other colors in the design, it means that masters from other regions took part in the construction. We move on. The next location is very close. We just need to walk a little to the Shadow Madrasa. The Chorsu Gallery Dome reminds about the trading past of Registan. Until the beginning of the 20th century, the building was used by merchants and traders of clothing, hats, medicines and books. In 2005, the shopping dome was completely restored. To restore the full height of the building, a 3-meter layer of soil had to be cleaned. Currently, the Gallery of Contemporary Art is based here. In this place, Aziza was carried away by the examination of paintings. One especially got her attention. Who would have thought that it was this painting that would interest me the most? But I feel such a connection to this painting. It's like my husband, me and our son. The usual picture at our place. It's strange. Many famous Uzbek and foreign artists and sculptors exhibit their works in Chorsu. Tell us when the gallery was opened and which artists are mainly exhibited here. Are there any old paintings here, or is it mainly represented by modern artists? The gallery was opened in 2004. It mainly consists of modern art. This is mainly the works of Samarkand artists. They are very famous. Aslidin Isayev, Nuruddin Kalanov, Fazilov Akbar. This is their graphics and paintings. That's why professional level of painters in Uzbekistan for a long time was much higher. And we caught up to them already in the 1960s. Here we already did not lag behind in any way. Each republic created its own language, its own world, and so on. Modern Uzbek painters place prominent historical figures on their canvases. One of the constant heroes of Uzbek paintings is Tamerlane. So we found a historical picture, and I recognized this man. Yesterday we learned a lot about him on the streets of Tashkent. This is a painting of Said Ibragimov. He painted this picture in 2016. When we opened the exhibition for the Day of Miniature Artists, he devoted this picture to this topic.
Написала эту картину на эту тему. А здесь
Amir Timur, Tamerlane, who is known to everyone, and his advisor are painted here.
всем известно и его советник.
The Chosu exhibits works not only of artists of our time. Periodically, the gallery hosts exhibitions on past masterpieces. Here they pay tribute to such Samarkand masters of the 19th, 20th centuries as Benkov, Rozikov and Kovalevskaya. In addition to Samarkand and Tashkent, the major center for the development of fine art in Uzbekistan is the city of Nukus. The Savitsky Museum of Art in Nukus has one of the most significant and largest collections of works of the Russian avant-garde.
В разные годы там жили художники.
In different years, artists, well, one might say world-class artists lived there. For example, such artists as Volkov or Nikolaev, who even took the name Ustomumin. They were so accustomed to the world, the attitude of the country in which they lived.
Ощущение этой страны, в которой жили.
Chosu Gallery attracts a large number of tourists. It's great that we were so lucky to get acquainted with the art of Uzbekistan. And the grandiose cathedral mosque of Tamerlane, Bibi Khanum, is waiting for us. Amir Timur erected this mosque after his victorious campaign in India and named Sarai Mulk Hanem in honor of his beloved wife. There is evidence that 99 elephants were delivered from India to speed up construction. The mosque was built in just 5 years. However, materials and technologies of that time, as well as increased seismicity, contributed to the fact that the mosque began to collapse during the life of Timur. By the 20th century, the building turned into ruins. But Samarkand residents could not come to terms with this and restored Bibi Khanum. This is a story about the preservation of their monuments and respect for them. We were struck by the dry grass sprouted on the dome of the mosque. It seems to emphasize the antiquity of this great structure.
И вот когда вот мы говорим про
And now when we talk about Uzbekistan, where there are millions of tourists today, apparently they are all attracted by the architecture of the East.
Прельщает архитектура, архитектура Востока.
Only 5 buildings of the 15th century survived from the entire complex. The portal, a large mosque in the back of the courtyard, 2 small mosques and a minaret. In addition, the center of the courtyard is still decorated with a huge marble music stand for the Holy Quran, made during the time of Ulugh Bek. Everything else that you see here is rebuilt. Speaking of music stand, local residents say that if a woman can't get pregnant for a long time, she must definitely come to Bibi Khanum, touch the stones of the mosque and the place where the great Quran used to lay and pray. And the wish will certainly come true, because people have prayed for many centuries in this place and it is considered to be holy. We crossed 3 countries, got acquainted with their people, learned customs and traditions, saw amazing architectural monuments. They shared all these sights so that you too become infected with this incredible spirit, the spirit of travel.
История, она нас всех соединяла тогда-то еще. А теперь тем более.
History, it connected us all back then, and now even more. And the roots of the Great Silk Road, such a somewhat on-duty phrase, but probably you can't say it better, is a dialogue of cultures that still converge and diverge here. And we should not lose these roots. Instead, we need to make sure that the dialogue continues.
Чтобы эти диалоги продолжались.
Today we met with the fat city of Samarkand. The top locations have opened their doors to us. This is the ensemble of 3 madrassas, the Bibi Khanum Mosque and the Chosu Gallery. We found out who Afrasiab, Sarai Mulkanem and Ulugh are. Aziza conquered Registan with oriental dancers and the ability to pose for a photo. What we would like to say in the finale of our program. Travel friends, an expedition is an experience of living in an environment where everyone is responsible for each other. It is an atmosphere of mutual enrichment and interaction. If you missed previous episodes, search for us via hashtag across Central Asia. See you again soon.